Greetings. Back with another one. Now, I grew up a die-hard pro wrestling fan, and for some reason, back in the '90s, we've seen some of the greatest wrestling games, if not the greatest wrestling games ever made. And I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I mean, I just want to talk about just like I miss wrestling games, wrestling video games, and I mean, like I said, I mean, I have the 2K wrestling games. I got a couple of them, but I don't know. It may be because I played these wrestling games when I was a kid. It just hit differently for nostalgia reasons. But man, I just enjoyed like I said, a lot of people diss the N64 because of the graphics and all that stuff and the cartridges. I didn't give a damn. I really didn't care. I can remember I would say probably WCW versus the World was probably the first wrestling game that was produced by the Aki or the AKI Corporation. I guess you would call them. I think they called Sophia or Sophonia. I can't remember now. They have a different name now. But from 1996 up until like 2004, they just made a stretch of just great wrestling games and just games that used that engine. And Versus the World was like my first taste of that. I mean, of course, they had wrestling games before. They had like the Raws and the Royal Rumbles and the old school wrestling fest, like the old school arcadey type of games, the WrestleMania, the arcade game, which was really fun. But it was just a stretch in the 90s, man. We just seen some of the greatest wrestling games, some of the most fun wrestling games ever made. And of course, this is like a Japanese. Which one was that? See, some of these I didn't play. I don't know if all of them were released in here in Japan, but I don't know. I mean, I've heard of some of these, but some I never played, like Shin Pro Wrestling. I never played this one, but they're still kind of using that, that engine. And just I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. It's just for some reason, man. When you go through all of the N64 wrestling games and then you go into like the SmackDown games that they made. Now the SmackDown games are great too. From the first SmackDown leading up to maybe just Here Comes the Pain or maybe the first SmackDown versus Raw. But for some reason, man, I would say the best stretch of wrestling games that we've seen, at least from the N64, my opinion was WCW NWO Revenge, going into WrestleMania 2000, and then No Mercy. Like, I personally believe No Mercy is arguably the best wrestling game ever made. And a lot of people you could probably say that a lot of these games are probably, dated in terms of the graphics. But like I said, I mean, this is Warzone. I mean, Warzone was okay, but it was different from the other ones. It didn't use the same engine. It used a completely different engine. But I had fun with it. And then you had Attitude and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, man. It just, I don't know. It just, I would say, okay, I would say in terms of like, signatures and stuff like that, and really, really kind of like humanizing the wrestlers in the virtual sense, I would say the SmackDown games probably did it the best when it came to, I would say SmackDown Just Bring It, from Shut Your Mouth, which was my favorite, and then you had Here Comes the Pain. Those three stretches of games, they really, really perfected how the wrestlers moved and their signatures and the taunts and everything. I mean, just the move set for those games is really good, and I think I believe Ukes did a good job with that. But if I had to take one of the wrestling games that I've ever played, it would have to be No Mercy #1. And then here we go with WCW Revenge, man. I remember the first time I played this. We were my cousin and I, we went to his old middle school for the summer to have like they held like recreational stuff there, so all of the kids can go there and just hang out and play ball, and they had an N64 in there. And this was in the WCW NWO Revenge, and this was the first time I ever played it. And I was blown away when I first saw it. And just watching this footage, it just brings back so many memories, man. I mean, just playing with some of your all-time favorite wrestlers, man, and just like the Bret Harts, the Booker T's, the Stings, the Ravens, and the Ultimo Dragons, and Chavo Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero, and Jericho. I mean, just everybody, and DDP, everybody, man, and just God, it was just so much fun. And what I loved about these 64 wrestling games is just whenever you reverse something in these games, it was so satisfying. It was just so satisfying. It's like they had reversals. It's like they had reversal animations for damn near every move in the game. And that was the one thing that the SmackDown games always kind of lacked. I mean, you can reverse, but the way that the animations look, they really wasn't reversing the move. They would just kind of like just shove you off of them and stuff like that. It just, I would say, Just Bring It kind of introduces it a little bit. They kind of put a little bit of the Greco-Roman kind of reversals into the game. I wish they kept it in there. I honestly believe that they did that for Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle was, just coming in around that time. I mean, Kurt Angle was probably what his debut game was, the second game, and then Just Bring It was the third one, and I think they kind of put those reversals in there just for him. But it was really cool. But they didn't keep him in there though. And like I said, I just hope that like enough people can see this one in particular, man, because I know I can't be the only person that feels this way. That the N64 games has some of the best wrestling games we've ever seen. And this is what is this, Nitro? Yeah, this is Nitro. Yeah, Nitro. Now, Nitro, I've always wanted, but I didn't play it. I've always wanted, but I never got it. I got the game that came after this. It was Thunder. And I didn't even know Nitro was. Yeah, Nitro was on the PS. See, I had a PS1. So yeah, when I got Thunder was on the PS1. And this game was kind of like, it's like I said, it's a different engine from the Aki Corporation, stuff like that. I can't remember who developed these games. I mean, they had their place. I mean, this game you had to put like in set combinations to do the moves and stuff like that. It was like down, up, square, or Big Show with the giant with the vertical suplex there on Goldberg. But yeah, you had to do set combinations, to do the moves in this game. And it was so, and as you can see, it's so fast paced and stuff like that. It's kind of has like an arcadey feel to it, but like I said, it had its place. I have my memories playing, these type of games, but they didn't set the way that Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, and No Mercy did. And this was this Attitude. Yeah, let me move this over because hold up, just bootlegging over here. Yeah, move it over here. Idiot. Now the funny thing about the Attitude games, the Attitude, they added in like the commentary. I think this was probably like one of the first wrestling games that actually had a commentary. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but this is like one of my first memories of actually hearing commentary. And then the wrestlers actually had lines, like the actual wrestlers actually went to the studios and actually recorded voice lines for this game and stuff like that. And this was another game where you had to put in like combinations to do the moves and stuff like that, and it was fun for its time, but like I said, it just nothing compares to, at least around this time, nothing, at least this is my personal opinion, but nothing compares to Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, and No Mercy. It was just those three. Once I got those three, like I said, because like I don't know if all those games came out back to back, but once I got hold of them, yeah, Mayhem. See, I did try Mayhem. It was okay. It was alright for its time, but like I said, man, like Booker T's just power driving Raven here. But like I said, man, it's just in the 90s, man, we got a stretch of just so many different types of wrestling games because there were different companies making wrestling games. Nowadays, you got these monopolies and stuff like that. Now you just have like one company just making all of the games and stuff like that, and that's why we don't see so many of them anymore. Look at the fight stance. Fight stance so weird. They're just standing there over there. It just looks so weird. But like I said, I applaud a lot of these studios for trying back in the day, man. I mean, it just wasn't just one company. Now it's just one company just making all of the games in terms of the sports games. You got one company making all of the basketball games, one company making all of the football games, one company making all of the wrestling games. It's just not what it used to be. And I appreciate this time where you just had different studios who came out. Here it is right here, WrestleMania 2000, man. I can remember the first time I played this, again, my cousin and I, he had a friend who lived in the neighborhood and he had this. And this was like, if I can remember, this is yeah, this was probably the first out of the Aki Corporation wrestling games where you can create your own character, create your own movesets and stuff like that. But just the grappling system alone in this game, it was perfect. It was perfect to me. And the only thing that, like I said, I'll give the 2K wrestling games this. I like how they added the limb target system, how you can target different limbs and all that stuff. Like you can really be you can really create the wrestler to be a true technician in the 2K wrestling games. You can target different limbs and stuff like that. That's how I've always made my characters in the 2K wrestling games. They, I would always make them like a submission style, like striker type style, stuff like that, and it was just perfection for me to create my guy like that. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2000. I didn't play this one either. I don't know if this was released in the States. I don't know. It could have been, but like I said, they're using the same, engine, the Aki Corporation, engine. And I just like, and I think with the recently, help me out. I think recently the AEW, was it Fighting Forever, whatever they call that. I think they tried to go back to this, but they just, it just didn't, they just didn't come through. I have no idea. Maybe it was financial, or maybe they just couldn't get the old engine back. I don't know why it didn't fall through, but a lot of people been kind of like, the game hasn't really been getting, praised like that. But I think, and from what I hear, I think Kenny Omega was like, he was is that Baba? Mr. Baba? It looked like him. But I think Kenny Omega was kind of like as a technical advisor for the game, and just, I don't know, it just didn't fall through, I guess. Maybe they can come back, but I don't know. It just, and this is ECW Hardcore, which looks like Attitude and Warzone. Did Acclaim make these games? I can't remember. But yeah, man, I just wanted to just make this video and just talk about this, man, because those wrestling games, particularly by the Aki Corporation, aka Aki, like, somebody correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but yeah, man, it was just a hell of a time. If you go right here, No Mercy. This, in my opinion, this is the best wrestling game ever made. It was pretty much revenge, but it added more to it. You had more moves, and you could create your own characters and stuff. You had more features and stuff like that. They just added more moves into the game, and they polished it a little bit in terms of what you can do. And it was a little bit more, I guess you can say polished. Like I said, the game still looked the same. The engine was the same. But like I said, it was revenge times 5, I guess you can say. But it was better. It was better. And I can't be the only person who thinks that. I personally believe this is the best wrestling game ever made, man. And I think that's what they were trying to go back to with the AEW thing, and it just went for naught, I guess. But yeah, man, I just wanted to put this out here because I miss wrestling games from this time. Because and thing also, pro wrestling as a whole was better in the 90s. And I know that all of the attitude stuff and all the stuff they were doing back in the day wasn't, it wasn't sustainable and stuff like that, because they were like losing sponsorship, from what I heard from, because I listened to all of the guys that I grew up watching, like JR and Kurt Angle and Dutch Mantell and all those guys. I listened to, and the Undertaker. Undertaker has his show now. I'm happy for him that it's successful. And they, of course, just talk about all of the old times. That Goldberg, man, look crazy. Yeah, but it just seems like that 2K is just, it just seems like 2K is just for remainder of how long they're going to be have the license on WWE, and of course WCW is no more, so we're not going to get anything like that. ECW is no more. I mean, like I said, and as far as Japan, what's the game called, the wrestling game? Fire Pro. Fire Pro was really cool too. It's pretty cool too. Oh man, but yeah, I just had to make this video, man, just to put my opinion out there, man, because I really like to hear everybody else's opinion on this. Because I know as far as the 64 goes, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but like I said, I didn't let graphics get in the way because like I said, the N64 has some of the greatest games ever made. I mean, it started the Super Smash Brothers franchise, one of the greatest franchises ever made. And but like I said, it just in terms of wrestling video games, it's just something about that time. The late '90s going into the early 2000s, they just had a stretch of just great wrestling games, and it just and it not just for the 64 too, for the for the SmackDown series too. It was just that stretch of games. It was going into like the WCW, going into the Attitude Era, into the Ruthless Aggression era. It was just fun times, man. Just playing those games, and also want to get an honorable mention to a Day of Reckoning. That was a wrestling game that was out for the GameCube. It was pretty good too, especially the second one. The second one was better, with the adding of the blood and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I just had to just put this one out here, man. Rambling as always, but long live AKI or Aki Corporation, whatever they like I said, I think they go by a different name now, and I don't think they make wrestling games anymore. Like I could be wrong about it, but I just like I said, it's a different company, so I don't really know what games they. I mean, they're still kind of in business, but I think it's a new team. I think new management stuff like that, and I think they just make different types of games now. But like I said, WrestleMania, what WWE No Mercy came out in 2000, right at the turn of the millennium, man. That was just a great time for wrestling games and for pro wrestling as a whole too. That was just its peak time. It really was, man. I mean, if you're not old enough to remember, and if you are a pro wrestling fan, I highly recommend you just go back and just watch some of that stuff. The storylines, the storytelling, and just the things they were doing at that time. It was just out of this world, man. And it just sucks that they probably will never reach those heights again. Not to say that they don't have talented pro wrestlers. You always have talent, but it's just certain things that the company that the promotions were doing back then they probably can't do today because they don't want to lose their sponsorships and all that stuff. Like I said earlier, but yeah, man, it's just long live that era of wrestling, gaming, and televised. But all right, y'all, another one for the archives. 31 cents added. It's your brother Bleak signing out. Until next time, you guys. Wos. See you on the next one.